Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand double deal, Onana and Mason Mount. It looks like it's been looking bleak for a lot of this time, a lot of the transfer window, and now it's looking like we could have two signings done very quickly. Some updates coming out from Fabrizio Romano, also from the Telegraph about Tom Heaton not being able to leave. Does that mean De Gea's going? We're going to discuss everything. Mason Mount imminent potentially. Well, yeah, we've been told by Ben Jacobs that it could be happen in the next few days, but we're going to get into it all with my partners in crime, Faz and Kev. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks very much for having us.
Yeah.
Or me, I speep for myself. Sorry, Faz. I don't know about you.
No, I'm just waiting for my Nando's because there's no players that's been signed yet. So.
Well,
yeah.
I've told you, the deal is, I swear we said 2 weeks, not a week. I remember it wrong. And Mason Mount could be on his way. I've still got till Friday.
Yeah.
And Onana as well is looking very likely. I want to get straight into the news because it is obviously a new show and we're going to delve into it. Afternoon, everybody in the chat as well that's joining us. First of all, coming off the Telegraph, Erik ten Hag has blocked Tom Heaton's move to Luton Town, where it is believed that he would start for them in goal. He has been told that he can't go this summer. And then off the back of that news, after that, it came out from Fabrizio Romano that Manchester United have had new direct talks regarding the signing of Andre Onana in the last day, into want around €50 million to €55 million for him. Which, by the way, I worked it out before the show went live. In pounds, that's £43 million. Not looking like a bad deal. You know what, Faz, I'll start off with you. If Tom Heaton's staying and he's not being allowed to move, to me, personally, it looks like Henderson's going to go to Forest, De Gea's going to leave, and we're probably going to end up with, you know, Tom Heaton as our second keeper and Andre Onana coming in. What are your thoughts?
I don't think that's a very good second option, to be honest, as a keeper. It's not good, basically. That's just how I can best put it. It's not good. Tom Heaton should be allowed to leave and we should get Andre Onana and someone of a bit more higher caliber than Tom Heaton, with no disrespect to Tom, of course. And also, Tom probably wants to play regular minutes, right? So why are we holding his career back? And he's not had regular minutes in Manchester United for a few seasons now, and let him head off to wherever he wants to go and let him play his minutes. The thing is, the reason why we can't let Tom Heaton go is the same reason why we can't let Harry Maguire go, is because it's just incompetence. We haven't run the business properly, and if we had, we wouldn't be in a situation where 3 keepers are leaving in the same season. You have potentially Henderson, Heaton and De Gea leaving in the same season. That's almost unheard of, to be honest. And it's just a mess, if you ask me. If Tom Heaton wants to leave and the club are blocking it, it's clearly because the club have no other option but to keep him.
Yeah, I mean, Kev, on that, it is Ten Hag who's blocking this move. It's been reported for Tom to go to Luton Town. Obviously, like Faz says, if we're blocking that move, it looks like it's because, you know, we're going to need him, basically. Obviously, I don't think Tom Heaton's going to be first choice keeper, but with this Onana news coming out, how do you see us lining up in terms of the keepers next season?
I would totally agree that Heaton is, listen, he's not a great backup, is he? Let's just say I won't say ideal, but if the transfer of Onana does go through, he's the number one. I mean, God forbid if anything did happen to him and Heaton had to step in for, I don't know, 5 Premier League games, maybe a Champions League game. He isn't a great understudy. He isn't at all, but this is typical of Manchester United and the way they are running things at this club. David De Gea's contract is ticking down. It looks like he is going to leave Manchester United. Then you also, like Faz pointed out, have 2 goalkeepers that don't want to be at Manchester United. I'm so sure Heaton wants to go. Henderson has never made any secret of the fact that he wants to leave Manchester United. So all of a sudden, we're going to find ourselves with no keepers. I know a lot of the top clubs will have a backup keeper, an understudy or whatever, that is good enough to come in and play second fiddle to a number 1 keeper. But I honestly, the way this club is run, do you know what it actually reminds me of a bit of Jesse Lingard? You know, he could have gone, was it in the January, and Manchester United put a block on that deal in case they needed to use him. You know, we very rarely used him, and then he went on a free transfer. And that's what it stinks of at this minute with Tom Heaton. You know, what's the point of stopping somebody that wants to leave, that is clearly never going to be a number 1, and in my view, isn't really even a good number 2?
To be honest with you, I have to say, with the budget we're on, I agree we shouldn't be in a position where Tom Heaton has to be our second goalkeeper. We shouldn't be. But if Ten Hag isn't going to get anything else, then he needs to block that move. Like, we can't... Because let's be honest, David De Gea is going to walk away. He's not going to be number 2. So if we're getting Onana in, I guarantee there's no money there to go and get a decent number 2 in. And Henderson wants to leave, and Henderson said he'll only stay if he's number 1. So you have to kind of block that Tom Heaton move. It's just, you know, this transfer window has been so poorly planned, like you said. I think Ten Hag's just kind of working day by day as it comes, and just dealing with what is happening.
You even look at the De Gea thing and how this is unravelled. I mean, the stories coming out, they will say there's no smoke without fire, but the fact that, he's been offered a contract, yes, on reduced terms, but it seems that at some stage he was happy to sign that, and then all of a sudden United have just moved the goalposts and gone, oh, actually, and that's obviously because now Erik Ten Hag is looking at Onana, but again, the way this club deals with stuff.
Why was that not known at the end of the season? That's the problem. Why was it not known? Why were Erik Ten Hag and whoever's handling transfers not on the same page way before even the end of last season? Because that should have been the case. And I'm sure Erik Ten Hag would have been clear about it.
Firstly, because money depends on how well you do if you qualify for Champions League football, and we almost left it to the last game of the season.
That's true.
That's one. 2, if we had won the FA Cup final, then maybe we would have had a little bit more money as well. It's a mixture of these things, and not just that, it's planning to get players in, it's planning to how you're going to let these players go. Liverpool had already planned how some of their players were going to leave before their season had ended. Same with probably the way Chelsea are moving. You could almost say they probably had planned how they're going to get rid of players. Players will always come in. You'll always buy a player, but the way Man United deal about getting rid of players, it's just, it leaves everyone around and involved left with a sour taste. The agents, the players, the family members, the club themselves, David here shouldn't have to feel like he's left in between our two minds of his whole career, what he's going to do. It shouldn't come down to this. He's a very bad keeper. Let's just, I say he's a very bad keeper.
You've changed
but
your
he's
tune
but he's not a bad human being.
No, yeah, you are.
He shouldn't be treated like this after giving 10 years to a organization. It's just that, how would you feel if you spent 10 years? Doesn't matter how good or bad you are. You've had good moments, you've had bad moments, like anyone else. And same thing with Tom. Tom is a great guy. He shouldn't have to go through this in his career where he's feeling like, look, I've been number 2, number 3, at times number 3 in your club for how many years? I've never complained, never moaned, always put on a smile, kept everything professional, got on with the lads,
well, let's be honest, Tom Heaton signed knowing he was going to be...
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So now, right, he signed knowing that, so now when I want to leave, you're holding my career back.
Yeah.
Why?
There's a way of doing things, and Manchester United for numerous years now, in comparison to other clubs, when you see a kind of touch of class and you're like, that's class, the way they've gone about that, or even just honouring somebody like David De Gea who walks away from the club. But like you said, Beth, at the end of the season, something should have been in place about this contract somewhere where somebody says, from the structure of the club, there's people above this. It's not all down to Erik Ten Hag. Yes, he might have changed his mind at some stage, but still, there should be other people in there that come in and, are throwing comments, whatever. David De Gea should know where he stands. And at this moment, what did you say to me before? Is it tomorrow his contract's up? So his contract's up tomorrow. And I think he's clearly sat really not knowing what's going to happen. And the way it's looking, he's not going to be... The contract's been pulled away from him, so there's nothing to sign. To
be honest, if I was him, and I'm not just saying this because I want a new keeper, like I would have just said, as soon as Man United pulled that deal, I would have been like, I'm going to Saudi Arabia, see you later, I'm going to get the money. Because, what I mean? Why would you stay around?
And then you wouldn't know whether that's Manchester United's thinking. Well, have they now pulled that contract away to try and get him out the door, thinking, there might be some Saudi club that are going to pay big money? You just wouldn't know how this club works.
It's weird. It's honestly weird. Really anyway, William Turner says the Glazers aren't going anywhere. This is facts. I don't know where your facts are from, William. But I hope
you're wrong.
I don't think they are facts. But, again, the takeover is taking so long, isn't it? It's frustrating. It's like not only the transfers, frustrating, the takeover on top of it. It's a lot to deal with as a Manchester United fan. I want to get a poll going in the chat. Is Tom Heaton good enough to be Manchester United's number 2? I know Mark spoke about a lot of the time how you can't have, for example, when we had Henderson and De Gea, that is kind of, it shouldn't be happening because there's always a debate whether who should be the number 1. It's too much pressure for each keeper. It's it's a frustrating topic when both keepers want to be number 1. But is Tom Heaton good enough to be that number 2? Personally, not for me. But if we have to do it, we have to do it. We've just got to hope and pray that Onana doesn't get injured. But I do want to ask as well, with, you know, the price tag coming out, because Ben Jacobs did actually say on the show with me earlier, I think he was one of the first to say it, that, you know, despite Italian reports, you know, Onana, Inter Milan, they've got to sell players. They've got to sell potential stars in their team because, you know, they're not letting go of Barrea. There's other Skriniar they held on for too long, and they need to sell in order the financial fair play. So Onana, you know, the price that they want for him is around 50 million euros to 55 million euros. That's 43 million, and they want to get this deal done ASAP, basically. I mean, Kev, 43 million for a starting goalkeeper, I think he's a brilliant deal.
It's an absolute steal, Onana, £43 million. I didn't actually realise it was. I think it's just actually sunk into my head now, but that's one, you know, when you're at Aldi in the bargain aisle or whatever and you sort of dip in and you go, I'll take 10 of them. You know what that price is? Oh, yeah. You know, a chainsaw or something for a tenner, and you think, I'll get 2 of them just in case one breaks or something. It almost seems too good to be true. And again, I come back to this thing. It's like, well, what are Manchester United doing? Are they waiting until De Gea's contract's up? Then they're going to inform him that, you know, he's leaving the club, or they don't intend to renew it, and then they bring Onana in, which some fans might not be bothered about. But for me, again, dealing with the De Gea situation, it's not a touch of class the way you deal with it. But the price on Onana it's unbelievable. When you think of what some goalkeepers could potentially go for, and you've got a ready-made goalkeeper here, one that you'll be happy with, Beth, that can play out from the back, good with his feet. I was on here last week and I said, listen, I watched him in that Champions League final against City, and that kind of sealed it for me. I thought, absolutely amazing. Some of the stuff he did, breaks of play, and I'm starting to imagine him then, you know, you're going from basically a situation at the back where if you're playing against a team like Manchester City who are going to press high, he's just beating that every time. It could be out to Jadon Sancho, Anthony, Rashford, whoever it is. One pass, you know, and you're in on goal. And that could be the difference, because I've seen a video floating about of De Gea's performance against Manchester City in the FA Cup. The amount of times he tried to go long without actually hitting a target. And again, I'm not slandering David De Gea, I'm just saying there is a massive difference when you look at a performance of Onana, which was in a Champions League final as well. You know, the creme de la creme, a massive, massive game. Some would say the biggest game in club football.
Exactly, and you've only got to hear what Pep said after that Champions League final about, you know, not being able to play the way they wanted to because of the way Onana plays. It's huge. It basically gives you an extra man when a keeper can pass out the way that is. Pep
and Klopp didn't have their keeper situation sorted, they'd be managers that would be going after this player now, especially at that fee as well.
Yeah, brilliant fee. I mean, Omar N says, I know this board is bad, but they are being treated badly by the Glazers, lack of communication on the state of the club. How could they work at all, let alone hard, knowing their job is in complete flux? I mean, yeah, the way this takeover, I think everybody knows that this takeover should have been sorted before, you know, the transfer window. It's not been. It's frustrating. They probably don't even know what's going on half the time. They're probably working well, we know they are working within a small budget. I still expect from, you know, the transfer team at Manchester United Football Club to be able to perform better than this. There's no excuse for not getting players out of the club. Outgoings, there's no excuse. So, you know, there's deals there to be done. Arsenal got Havertz done within a week. We've spent nearly a month on Mason Mount. Like, you know, I expect, you know, I expect them to still be good at the job. You know what I mean? But it's the same old story. Robert McCormack said, never thought Kev shopped at Aldi.
Cheap wine. Get good deals on the wine in there, mate. Try it. And chainsaws.
Chainsaws. I was wondering what he was referring to then, but I just kind of got back to the joke then. But yeah, well, that's where we're at in the keeper situation. You never know. Manchester United might go and get like a loanee, like they did with Butland and Dubravka last time. They never really saw a game. We know Ten Hag likes to have his keepers lined up. We know that. You know, he talked about Ajax at one point having like 300 keepers, so he's worried about it. We'll see how it plays out, but we'll have to wait and see. The next thing I wanted to move on to, as you can see through the thumbnail, double deal. Come to Faz, I'll come to you on this one, but basically, Mason Mount deal, Ben Jacobs says there is a relatively high probability that Mason Mount will become a Manchester United player in the next few days. Both Chelsea and Manchester United want to get this deal done. Chelsea are willing to be flexible with the payment and they want to get this deal sorted quite quickly, and they're in direct talks. Kev? Not Kev? Faz? How are you feeling?
Faz don't want it to happen. He wants his Nando's.
No, look, I think long as we get a player before pre-season, that'll be good for Erik ten Hag. It's whatever benefits the team at the end of the day. I just hope they don't pay anything more than 55. That'll just be way too much, and I'm going to be annoyed. I don't care if Ten Hag wants the player. Be very honest, Mason Mount is nowhere near the likes of Frankie de Jong and all of them players on that caliber, Kammervingers and all of those. So 55 million, get the deal done quick and move on to the next player.
So
which is
55 million's the
maximum. I wouldn't even go 55, you know. I would have said 45 to 50, but 55 because Ten Hag likes him. Absolutely not a single pound more. And I hope it's not anyways.
I've got to be honest, you know, if we do end up getting it for 55, I'll be happy with the way that we handle the negotiations, because I do like the fact we are, you know, not just paying the money straight away, because we have been guilty of doing that in the past. And that is one thing that seemed to change under Murto. But again, the timing of this deal, it's just... There's still no excuses. City got Kovacic done with like that. Like,
taking a little bit, yeah.
It's frustrating. But Sean Oladelli says, "Hi guys, Onana is a good choice, but the AFCON is my concern. But then again, I guess he's not part of that with Cameroon. National team plans unknown. We need a strong backup if we get Onana. Yeah, just want to get that straight. He won't be going to AFCON because he's retired, because he had a fallout with the national team coach.
We're still in the gaffer to play up from the back.
Yeah. A. St. John says, Kovar for backup keeper. And yeah, well, we know about Kovar. I don't know if he's ready yet. You watch a lot of the youth team. I watched a bit of the youth team. I want to watch more of it next season. You really kind of do get an understanding of the level these players are at if you watch it. But Faz, I'll come to you. Do you think Kovar's ready to be part of the squad?
There's another keeper. His name is
Bishop.
No, Masny. I think his surname is Masny. Anyways, I think that's how you pronounce it. He's really good, but I don't think they're ready for Manchester United. First team level, I'll be very honest. Masny he's on loan somewhere. He went on loan and he had a good loan spell. But as far as I know, he's the best keeper in our academy. That's just my opinion. The rest of them, they're okay, but this kid is serious.
Goalkeeper's such a difficult position to fill. Because I can remember Peter Schmeichel was an absolute legend for United. Then when he left, we had like Mark Bosnich, you know, the likes of Taibbi. Barthez even was a bit erratic. Some people are trying to make, slightly, you know, trying to make out he was. We've had a modern day goalkeeper before in Fabian Barthez, but is a bit different. He was. You didn't know what you were going to get from him. But again, it took Manchester United years to replace. I would argue that probably Edwin van der Sar was the next top level keeper that we had at Manchester United, where you felt you had a safe pair of hands, and that come years after Peter Schmeichel had left Manchester United.
Exactly, it is tough. I do think Onana is definitely good enough to come in and fill that gap, though, especially with the confidence he had in the Champions League final. He's got the confidence to do it. And our poll going, is Tom Heaton good enough to be United's number 2? 63% say no, 37% say yes. I know Adam would think he is good enough. Adam really likes Tom Heaton. But no, I mean, it's what I expected, really. Who knows if we'll get a loan in? We'll have to wait and see. But Kev, I'll come to you on the Mason Mount. We've got that bet on the table with Faz. If everyone didn't tune into the last forum, me and Kev basically said we thought Mount would be done by Tuesday, and we'll have to watch it back. But Faz says if it's not done in the next week, we owe him a Nando's.
Well, I said it won't be done in the next week and a half. You said it'll be done by Tuesday. I remember saying Murto and Arnold don't work Monday and they have half day Friday. Yeah. Remember?
You said to me, I swear we said by the end of next week, so technically I've got till tomorrow, I think.
Well, it won't happen anyway.
I think I've got a bit of a get out clause, because I said that behind the scenes this could be done, and I did say that Mount would have to, learn to play Glory, Glory, Man United on the banjo. So maybe, maybe the banjo lessons aren't going well.
Until we see Mason Mount holding a Man United shirt.
Here we go.
No, because, here we go. Well, Malacia was here we go. And what happened?
Don't bring up Malacia.
John Obi Mikel held up a Man United shirt and then signed for Chelsea. True. You can't even wait for that now.
Okay, let's say for you, here we go. Yeah. I'll text Fabrizio not to put it until Monday.
Yeah, it's here we go. Excuse me, I've got better connections than you. But yeah, what was I going to say then? So here we go. That's what we're waiting for. But when we move on to think about when he's going to sign, Ben Jacobs did say it could be within the next few days. I don't know if that will happen. But Kev, what do you think needs to happen with this? Well, what would you want to pay for Mason Mount? Do you think Man United should move just a little bit higher to get this over the line? When do you think it's going to happen?
I agree at 50, 55. I think if United are trying to change as a club, you do have to draw a line in the sand, and that has to be, because Man United have done this for years. I go back to David Moyes at Manchester United. I remember breaking news at the time, United make bid for Cesc Fabregas, and Barcelona was like, he's not for sale. It was about 40 million at the time. United bid 45 million pounds for Cesc Fabregas, and Barcelona said, he is not for sale. And it kept going on, and I was like, how is this club being run? Even the time, remember Ander Herrera and this team of what the hierarchy of Man United turned up, you know, to try and seal the deal, and it was like, what is going on?
It was in Barca and Juventus last year for us going with nothing. It's
crazy what is going on, and there's been so many, everybody that's been on Twitter for how many years, or remember Schneider, Wesley Schneider, there's been so many, De Jong was last season, they just drag out all summer and it make you feel like you're going to sign this player, and it does not happen. I don't want that to become the so-called Wesley Sneijder of this season, or the Frankie de Jong of this season in Mason Mount. But at the same time, do not do that typical United thing now of, if Chelsea are playing... Listen, it is business in a way, and it's how you negotiate a deal. So if you've set it at 55 max, that is it. Not even a million more. You have to make a point to these clubs. Why should Manchester United be paying a United tax? At the same time, why should Chelsea, you know... Chelsea class Manchester United as a rival. We don't want to strengthen a rival. Who have they just sold to Manchester City?
Arsenal.
Yeah, and Arsenal as well. I don't understand that. Kovacic was what, 25 million or something?
30 million.
Seems like a decent price to me.
And Kovacic was a very important player for them.
Yeah, had years on his contract. Mason Mount's got 1 year on his contract. United have to look at that and go, right, if 55 is, it cannot be anything over. Cannot.
He's younger, and even though I don't think this should be a thing, he's English. That's what they'll look at it like that.
You're paying English tax as well.
Exactly, that's why it's happening. Dylan Harden says, Beth, you look beautiful as always, and can I say United are a shambles, no signings, no takeover, while other clubs are spending their levels to this game. Thank you for that, Dylan. And yeah, it's really frustrating as a United fan right now to kind of see where we're at during this transfer window. And I wanted to come on to that actually. I mean, Faz, despite the fact that Mason Mount looks like he is going to sign soon, I actually think Chelsea are going to back down a little bit. I think we will end up getting the price that we want, maybe a couple million here and there extra, but I don't think we'll go up to 60. Watch us do that now, but I don't think we will. But what I'm really, really frustrated about in this transfer window, which I'm sure everybody else is as well, is we had Ben Jacobs on saying, you know, it is right, our budget is 120 unless we sell players. That's what we've got to deal with. He said that's what's ruled us out of going for Casado as well, just the budget side of things. If you get Onana and Mount in, that's 100 million gone out of the budget. You're looking for a striker, which is our number one priority. We need to sell players. While we've not been able to get any incomings in, what has the transfer team been doing with these players? Which, by the way, McTominay, Maguire, you can get money for these players. How disappointed are you about the outgoings as well? Well,
you can get money for these players, but which team is willing to pay the amount? Who's wanting to pay 50 million for Jadon Sancho? Who's willing to pay 30 million, 40 million for Maguire?
Well, there's, you know, Arsenal willing to pay 65 million for Kai Havertz.
Yeah, because Kai Havertz has been a good player.
He's not that good.
He's been doesn't matter, but for the club that he's played in, as an individual level, he's done good enough to be sold. What's Maguire done?
There's players there. Scott McTominay could go now, I think, for 30 million easily, especially after what, you know, his performances for his national team. We know David Moyes, he loves him and he likes him. We know Newcastle are interested. There is teams out there willing to go and pay for Scott McTominay. Why have we not done that
Newcastle have already made their signings. And
I get that, but there's deals to be done with Man United. They're just not good.
Other teams have already started splurging their money, right? And now they're going to look at shall I really spend another 30 million on Scott McTominay or Harry Maguire? Well, we'll be all right. Leave Man United to rot as it is. And I think that's what will end up happening, because there's been no talks at all. Everybody's been talking about everyone. Look, even Maddison's signed to Tottenham. Every player is signing everywhere, except for the ones that need to leave Manchester United. There's absolutely zero talk. I'd actually like to ask the journalists, let's actually stop for a minute and don't talk to me about Mason Mount. Don't talk to me about Onana. Can you please go and find me some information on Harry Maguire and where's his next move? Let's not even talk about David De Gea, because he's going to leave anyways. Let's actually talk about the players that we can cash in on. Give me some information on Henderson, McTominay and Maguire. Let's try and find something out.
There's money to be made.
There's at least 70, 80 million there, easily.
And that goes towards a striker.
And what a shame it would be, and touch wood, it doesn't happen, by the way. What a shame it would be if we get Mason Mount and Onana, and then Chelsea end up getting Caicedo. Look at, they already have a Ferrari Enzo Fernandez in there already. They've got Nkunku as well. And what a shame it would be us getting Mason Mount, and then Chelsea end up doing really well next season. And we'll be sat here thinking, well. Did we not say we should have needed another midfielder or a CDM? Did we not say we needed more money for a striker? And we'll be sat here in a forum arguing, well, it's the striker. Oh, no, we shouldn't have got Mason Mount. It's just, it's bad.
Well, this is what I mean, Kev. It's so frustrating to me, and this is why, honestly, the fact we've not got a sign over the line is embarrassing when all the other top 6 clubs have. But it's the fact as well that even if, you're struggling to, negotiate the fees for the signings, and we're still not sure what striker we're going to go for, we're still not sure on certain things, which, again, there's no excuse for it. But even if you're in that situation, your budget's 120 mil. You know for a fact that's not going to stretch to what we need. United, we need another number 6. We need another striker. There's other positions. We could even argue we need a centre-back, but that's been completely put on the back burner. We'll talk about that in a sec. But when you look at it, why the hell have we not been saying to players towards the back end of last season, you're not part of Eric Ten Hag's plans. Our plan is to move you on.
Or are they? Is it just the contracts are that great, and the way that United have handled things like that some players don't have the ambition now to move on, and they think
players like Chelsea's players were on good contracts, and they haven't played well. They came 12th last year, or 11th or 12th. There is ways that you can get rid of these players, even if it is selling them at a cut price.
Yeah.
Why are we not doing it?
Manchester United just do not do that. There's a reason Phil Jones survived how many transfer windows at Manchester United, because United somehow were terrified of losing this guy, whether it be for 3 million or whatever. But surely you have to work that out. The guy was on over 100 grand a week. When you work that over a week, over a year, Manchester United were never going to get a transfer fee for Phil Jones. He was at the point of being injured again with Martial, another player terrified of losing, because they spent 50 million on him, or whatever it was, plus add-ons, it could add up to 50 million. Absolutely terrified of losing a so-called asset. Paul Pogba, another one. Manchester United, did offer him a contract towards the end, wanted to keep him. For me, it wasn't for football reasons. It was purely brand Pogba. They wanted to get him in because then, a couple of months down the line, if they wanted to sell him, they might get 60 to 100 million for him. But United, because they paid 90 odd million pounds for Paul Pogba, that's all they're looking at. Businessmen sat up in that room are like, this is a 90 million pound asset. We are going to lose him for free. And that has been the trend over the years at Manchester United. The contracts get handed out because they think somewhere down the line we'll be able to cash in and sell for 5, 10, whatever it might be, up to 100 million. It's been a massive problem. And the wages that have been handed out as well, they need to get a grip of that. There has to be a ceiling. For me, the best players should be paid, the top amounts of money. Now, when you've got players, and no disrespect to David De Gea, he's a goalkeeper. What is it? The highest paid goalkeeper in the world. Not even the best goalkeeper in the world. But yeah, he's been earning 375,000 a week. You're leaving yourself open. You are setting yourself up for people coming knocking on the manager's door and saying, this lad's on, whatever it might be, 100 grand a week more than me. I am doing more than what he is doing, what is going on.
I just want to say two things. Ed Woodward needs to be locked up. He needs to be locked up because he's committed the worst crimes in football history. Absolutely, because exactly what he's done is what we're suffering. Tell me a player that he didn't sign that we're struggling to get rid of. All these players we're struggling to get rid of is part from his regime. Maguire being the number one anyways. And go and look at, the things that he had a relationship, some sort of working relationship with Maguire's agent, and this, that, the other. It's been loads of politics Ed Woodward got involved in, and Ed Woodward has run this club so bad that it's going to affect us for the next 2-3 seasons. It's not going to be snap of a finger unless the takeover thing happens and Sheikh Jassim comes in and then wipes the whole table clean, and then we get new people, new money and everything. Until then, we're just going to be in this limbo all the time. It's been season in, season out. The only person that could have saved us for 120 million, and I'll fight with anyone, argue with anyone, it would have been Ralph Rangnick. If Ralph Rangnick was there instead of Murto and Arnold, Ralph Rangnick would have done those two idiots' job alone.
Yeah, I agree.
He would have done, and I don't care if he wasn't the best manager and whatever, but go and check Ralph Rangnick's CV. Go and look at if Ralph Rangnick's 11 players alone that Ralph Rangnick has scouted would have won you Champions League.
Well, look at the players that Ralph Rangnick actually advised Manchester United
I was
to look at.
so annoyed when we decided we were getting rid of him, and we know the reason we got rid of him is because he spoke the truth.
Yeah. Let me clear this out.
I was going to say he spoke the truth.
Part of his contract was that he will manage Manchester United and then he will go upstairs. That was in his contract. He said it in a press conference that I look forward to speaking to Erik ten Hag. But this is for Manchester United fans who live in a delusional world who think Erik ten Hag sacked him. He didn't. This is absolutely false. Erik ten Hag came in and Manchester United blocked Ralph Rangnick from communicating to Erik ten Hag because Ralph Rangnick had a folder of, all of these negative players that needed to leave. Yeah. That's what he had. He had a folder of players that needed to leave. And, obviously the man in public did you and me and all of us the biggest favor that we could have asked for is publicly in front of millions and millions of people said this club needed open heart surgery. No man. And you know what? Ralph Rangnick, if he ever came back to Manchester United, I'd get a frame of him and I'd put it on my studio because this guy, honestly, it's because of him we really opened our eyes. And then Ronaldo's interview was the nail in the coffin. It really, really was. And I pray that he could somehow come back. But it's such a shame that these owners couldn't take what he had said and let him go because Arnold and Murto, they're doing nothing. They're dilly-dallying about every single day.
At the end of the day, the truth hurts.
Look, the easiest deal in the world, Adrien Rabiot on a free. I don't even fancy him as a player, but I think, okay, he's had a good season. You know me, I don't say no to free things. I won't say no to free Nando's.
We know that.
A free player, they couldn't manage to sign from a club who, by the way, had points deduction, had money issues, went yo-yo down and up the league. From a club who's in desperate need of money, we couldn't sign a free player. Let that sink in. This is what Arnold and Murto are doing. And there will be fans, Manchester United fans sat across the world who will think that they're doing a decent job.
I don't think anyone's thinking that, surely.
I promise you there are some fans who think Murto and Arnold are doing an okay job based on the owners that we have.
It's so frustrating, and I honestly echo everything you were saying there about Rangnick. Was it the worst football scene at Old Trafford, and was it horrible to watch? Yes. But would he have been an excellent sporting director? Well, what was he like? Was he
technical director?
Technical director. Would he be a brilliant technical director? Absolutely. He named Luis Diaz, Vlahovic, Alvarez, so many players he's named for us to get, and the honesty in public, it was a breath of fresh air.
It's refreshing to see.
Like you said, Kev, at the end of the day, you know what I mean. When you speak the truth, that's what happens. He got pushed out the door, and it's frustrating.
You've seen it before. It's like watching MUTV. If a caller rings in, and the minute they mention the Glazers, on the chat show, boom, they're gone. Next caller, and it's like.
But do you know what it is? It's like I think Mark's used this analogy on his shows before. It's like they're being in a room with a huge, massive elephant and just completely ignoring it. Everyone in the world knows that they're horrendous owners. Why try? Just because you ignore it on MUTV doesn't mean that everybody doesn't know. It's strange to me, but anyway, it is what it is. But I want to move off this topic because I'm getting depressed again. This topic actually is a little bit depressing as well. I wanted to ask you about this, Faz, because we did an ideal starting 11 for the start of next season, and you had Min-jae in it, and it has been a here we go to Bayern Munich for Min-jae. Man United were in this race. Romano told us multiple times you're in this race. And then over the last couple of weeks, it just seems like we completely dipped out and Bayern took over and led it. I personally think it's because we still don't know what our priorities are and we don't know how far the money's going to stretch. What are your thoughts on this? Are you disappointed?
Yeah, I am very much disappointed. I'm actually heartbroken. Bayern Munich have probably done the signing of the summer with Min-jae at the price tag as well. And there's absolutely nothing to say that Min-jae rejected us because he didn't. It's simply because Bayern gave him a contract and promised him that they will trigger the transfer release clause, and Manchester United didn't. That was the whole thing. And Manchester United couldn't promise him that we will trigger the transfer release clause because we don't have the money to. We can't make promises that we can't live up to. We have to sign Mason Mount 55, Andre Onana 40-something million. That's 100 million gone. We won't have enough money to sign Min-jae. And this is the same reason why Manchester United will not do well in the Champions League. I'm sorry, but we won't.
You need to have strength in the squad.
Again, the bald magician will have to do some sort of magic with Fred and McTominay and
Who he wants
Lindelof.
to get rid of both.
Yeah, he wants to. With all of these players, he'll have to do some sort of magic and probably knock out some big heavyweight in Champions League like he did with Barcelona. It'll have to be him and his magic again. And it won't be down to having decent players. We'll be crossing our fingers when we go to Champions League. I'm telling you, we needed a centre-back so bad because you can have a ball-playing goalkeeper, which is great. But if you don't have good centre defensive midfielders, good centre-backs who can carry the ball and show for the ball, what are you going to do? Have Scott McTominay show for the ball?
Well,
what are you going to do? Ask Lindelof to carry the ball. You're not. Lindelof is a good defender. Lindelof's good.
I was just going to say, Lindelof had a good end to the season. Varane and Martinez are going to be, obviously...
But it's not Champions League level. I want to think how I can go from third to second. How I can go from third to second. And that's levels. I'm sorry, but Lindelof is a very good defender. But he is not from third to second to first in the Premier League defender. He's not. You want to go, and that's me being straight up honest and cutthroat. He can come in and play the odd games. Give me a odd knockout game or a cup competition, and very good. Thank you very much. That's what he's there for. But if you want to play high level and win trophies at high level, I don't want to be seeing Luke Shaw in centre back. I don't. And Luke Shaw's fantastic in centre back. But Luke Shaw needs to be playing.
Can play at top level,
Luke Shaw needs to play where he's best suited, and you want players to be playing where they're best suited. If Luke Shaw's playing centre back, we don't have the same output if Malacia's in left back. We don't. And it's just me being honest. I really want to actually think like I want to come second next season. I really do.
The problem is, it's so hard to think like that when our transfer window is going this way, and you can see all clubs around us strengthening. And I know what our squad's going to look like this season. I know that Erik ten Hag doesn't want Fred and McTominay in that squad. Do I know they'll be sat there? They'll probably be on the bench. They will be on the bench because hopefully we'll have Mountain and we'll have Casemiro and Bruno. But they'll still be there, and they'll still have to be used as squad players. And it isn't good enough. But like, Kev, I was just wanting to touch on that point because that's what I was going to come to next. Is it reminding you of when Mourinho came second and then he had a horrible transfer window? In that summer, didn't get back, didn't get any of his first choices, barely. It looks like we're getting Mount, which thankfully is our first choice, even though I know a lot of the fan base are against it. At least
first choice.
It's Erik ten Hag's first choice.
Frankie de Jong was the first choice.
Well, that's just impossible at this point in time. It shouldn't be impossible, but it is.
Yeah.
But obviously Mourinho they massively fell out. There was trouble behind the scenes. He didn't get backed. And then you look at Arsenal, who just came second.
Exactly, yeah.
The money they've spent, and Arsenal fans are so bitter about this, but it's true. The money they've spent over the last few years, I think the highest net spenders over the last 5 years, I just saw on Twitter before. And again, they're going, Rice 105 million, Havertz 67 million. People can question the fees, but they're backing Arteta and what he wants. Now they're going for Jurrien Timber, who is Erik ten Hag's top target last year. Well, Man United still haven't signed a soul, and we're working. Our budget is what they've spent on one player in Declan Rice. Like, this is what we're dealing with right now, and how frustrating would that be for Ten Hag going into next season? What do you expect based upon this?
Like you've just said, we've spoken about two potential sort of signings for Manchester United in Onana and Mason Mount. And if you read in the papers, media, whatever, that more or less is the whole transfer budget gone without even selling anyone. So then you're looking at selling players. It is a huge worry. And I said at the time when we were on shows together, when Erik ten Hag come in, this guy needs to be backed. He cannot be one of these managers in the past that has worked under the Glazers, where he's working with his hands tied behind his back and expected to do miracles. He needs to be backed. I have no doubts at all in my mind that Erik ten Hag knows exactly who wants to sign this summer. And I always said, where's the point of bringing this guy in at Manchester United if his hands are going to be tied and you're not going to give him the tools to do the job? It does not make any sense at all. And already the rumblings, whatever we're seeing, for me, is Mason Mount his number one target? Possibly not, like you just said. I think we all know last season it was Frankie de Jong. Does it now come down to a thing of price? Yes, it does. And that is Manchester United all over. Again, the sale of the club as well, I don't care what anyone says, is holding this up, because you're not telling me if even he wanted King Min-jae and he's saying he's going to be fighting for Varane's place in the team. I might even change it up as a back three or whatever. Would Manchester United sanction that?
We've got breaking news here. from David Ornstein.
Yeah.
No nandos for you.
No chicken.
Breaking news. I always get the first one. I got my last year. I've not even read it yet. Hopefully it is what I'm thinking. David Ornstein exclusive. Manchester United have reached an agreement with Chelsea to sign Mason Mount. Deal for 24-year-old England midfielder worth up to £60 million. 55 million plus 5 million in add-ons. Permission given to do medical and finalise personal terms. Now to the paperwork stage.
It's not here we go though.
What a time
for that to come out. And me going, was Mason Mount the number 1 target?
That time.
Oh, what a shame.
The Romano tapping's coming just in like the next few minutes.
So who owes who on Nando's now?
Piri chicken.
You owe us. You owe us, mate.
The way my
out.
savings and my current account is set up, it takes about 7 working days to transfer.
So yeah, everyone, the first exclusive deal agreed. I had my last year last year. I'm claiming it. I've got Mason Mount now this year. I mean,
I'd love to. Do you know what I'd love to know? The add-ons for that, because some of these
55
deals.
55 million add-ons. Well, what
no,
is
but 5 million. You know, it could be.
Add-on.
You know, £1 million if he gets the Ballon d'Or, 2 million if he's top scorer next season. You know, when he scores 100 goals for United.
I think if we make it past a certain stage in Champions League.
Fabrizio Romano, Man United have agreed a 60 million deal for Mason Mount with Chelsea. Here we go.
Hey, that's not one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Fabrizio Romano, Manchester United agree a 60 million deal. I'm just reading it again for Mason Mount with Chelsea. Here we go. First Manchester United signing. Happened before the end of this week. Happened while we were live. There you go.
Very interesting.
Little picture of Mount there.
Well, I'll just comment on something I said earlier, because I think we both agreed we would not pay over 55 million. When I say the 5 million add-ons, for me, well, United could potentially pay 60, but to fulfil that 5 million means probably that Mason Mount is going to have to be absolutely unbelievable for Manchester United, because it would mean that United have to achieve something. So in that sense, it makes good business sense to put something in like that.
Yeah, I'm happy with 55 million because he's still very young. You know, he can add a lot of potential if things go well. If Manchester United and Ten Hag nurture him in the right way, and he ends up becoming that advanced state that everybody goes on about on Twitter, then yeah, he could easily become a 65, 70 million pound player. And that's what I want. I want players that will eventually in the future add 5, 10 million to their value instead of, you know, going backwards. So yeah, this is great.
Ten Hag will be able to work with this player. He's somebody that he'll be able to develop.
And what a play it was telling Chelsea that we're going to go for Caicedo, right? What's up, like, and making Chelsea
it was
start.
Obvious,
yeah, now it was anyways.
I actually wanted to throw that out earlier to you and ask the question: are United trying to call Chelsea's bluff by saying, well, if we don't get Mount for this price, we're going in for Caicedo, which has prompted Chelsea. But again, you know, were United going to spend 100 million?
As sad as it sounds now,
stage?
though, I hope Caicedo to Chelsea firstly doesn't happen, and if it does, I hope Chelsea don't do well, because that'll be the topic of conversation this time next year, and depends where we end up and where they end up. Because if they end up spending that money on Caicedo, then we'll be like, well, we bought their player and they went and strengthened and ended up above us. But I hope that doesn't happen.
Personally, I would have preferred Caicedo over Mason Mount. But listen, who am I to talk?
Let's be positive. As I want to state again, Mason Mount was Erik ten Hag's first choice midfielder this summer.
You're hell-bent on that.
I don't care what anyone says. We know how much he wanted Anthony last year and how much he pushed for it. We would have heard news coming out about it. He tried to sign Mason Mount when he was at Ajax. He's gone again for him this summer. He's a fan of him. Let's all get behind. You know, Mason Mount is Erik ten Hag's first choice. I said back in March, I went and looked back at it, that Man United should be going for this deal. And I'm really glad we have. Yes, right. People are saying in the chat, 60 million is too much. 60 million is too much, but what you've got to remember, guys, like Kev said, it's 55 million plus 5 million in add-ons. I think them add-ons, I mean, remember what the Martial add-ons were?
Yeah,
I think it was like Ballon d'Or and all that sort of stuff. So we don't know what the add-ons are. For what I'm taking it is around 58 million. I'm taking it as a bang in the middle between 55 and 60. That's what I'm taking it as. But
add-ons are add-ons. You do, yeah.
Exactly. It is 55 million. It's under 60. And you know what? I'm glad Erik ten Hag's got a first choice signing. I'm glad that we've actually done a signing. They must have seen Man United the other day. It popped up. Man United's last June signing was Aaron Wan-Bissaka back in the Solskjaer days.
Wow.
You know, if Mason Mount signs before, what date is it? 29th today? If Mason Mount signs relatively quickly, we could have, you know, a June signing, which is always exciting. So, you know,
that's unbelievable that we got breaking news like that. I feel like we need one of them banners along the Ryan, sort that out, mate. You know, along the bottom of the screen saying breaking news. Mount has signed for Manchester United.
I've just texted Mark saying, I got the here we go again. I had Malacia last year. He's going to be absolutely fuming. But David Page said 60 million for a player with only one year left on his contract. With Frankie de Jong, the club had an agreement last summer with Barca. He refused to leave. Same again. What I will say is, last year, the deal we had for Frankie de Jong was 80 million. When you look at it like that, you know, it is a lot of money for Mason Mount, because obviously I think Frankie de Jong's one of the best midfielders in the world. Genuinely, I think he's absolutely...
Frankie de Jong didn't want to leave.
Frankie de Jong is insane.
Barcelona because of the contract.
But like we would say, do I want a player that's desperate to be at Man United rather than a player who doesn't want to be there? Absolutely. And, you know, Mount turned down... The only reason Arsenal went for Havertz is because Mount said no. Arsenal tried to go for Mount. You know, Liverpool wanted to go for Mount. I'm happy about this.
And on Frankie de Jong, he was owed wages, which... Barcelona at the time, cheeky sods, try getting Manchester United to pay it. Remember, if you want him, you pay him. No, you owe him the wages, you pay it. So that did hold it up as well.
Got a couple of super chats, and then we'll come to your guys' more opinions on that. Joshua Bowater, I thought I'd be more excited. Think the ownership situation being dragged out is putting a down on everything around the club for me. Yeah, it is frustrating, but, you know, it's a signing. Get behind it, everyone. Get excited. If you can't be excited about this, then, you know... We've got to be excited about the small wins this summer, and I think this is going to be... I've said it so many times, guys, but come back to it. I promise you it's going to work out.
Why are you going red?
Bid couldn't even start for a 12th place team, and now he's going to supposedly start United. Only good thing about this is United got a transfer in. He'll start for Erik ten Hag, and he'll do well. Guys, he will. Stephen Lazarus, we have had so many holes elsewhere. Why are we spending 60 mil on Mount? People need to question this signing, not celebrate it. This is why we're horrible. Well... You know, people say back the manager. This is what Erik ten Hag wanted. So, you know...
Out of all the players that Erik ten Hag has signed, I'd say the one that the media, maybe some Manchester United fans, the only question mark over any of the signings that Erik ten Hag has signed could possibly be Antony, but purely for the fee. You know, every other player, I think, has been an absolute brilliant signing. I mean, you look at Martinez, for instance, and...
Exactly. I think Anthony's going to turn out to be great as well. Ronnie
Malacia, absolute steal.
You know what this means? Vegas for another season.
No.
I said that last week, didn't I?
Ronnie Dodge, going to be weird seeing Man United in a United shirt. I mean, come on, you knew this Mount deal was going to happen.
Yeah, but we do need a striker. I mean...
We do.
And I can't see another season of Martial. I just can't. Honestly can't.
Would you be asking for too much to get some more like breaking news while we're on that the club has actually been sold?
Yeah, that might be asking for
a
lot.
Good things come in twos, don't you?
If you want to do it for me, you can do it. But I mean, now it's on to Andre Onana, in my opinion. Mount to Onana. We did say, you know what? We've been getting so much stick for, you know, clickbait in the title of this. I want to say, double deal, Mount and Onana imminent. I got in the chat straight away, imminent, ha 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 ha. Well, guess what, guys? We were right, because we've had a Mount, here we go. So, yeah, I'm excited about it. It's a sign at the end of the day. And, you know, I think he's going to come straight into the starting 11. You know what, Kev? I want to ask you, obviously we know there's priorities elsewhere on the pitch, but how do you see Mount fitting into Man United next season?
I think Mason Mount will be a terrific footballer for Manchester United. I said the other week, I thoroughly understand why maybe some of the FIFA generation don't think that he's that great of a footballer. Why hasn't he been playing for Chelsea, this, that? You know, there's obviously been a problem at Chelsea. And Manchester United, and especially in Erik ten Hag, again, who am I to question this man? If he sees this kid, what is he, 24 years old, can bring him in at Manchester United, improve him, mould him, the likes of Rashford, Luke Shaw and that from the England squad will know him. You know, that they'll obviously be friends with him as well, obviously England teammates. So he brings something different to a midfield area that, yes, last season we improved massively by bringing Casemiro and Eriksen into that team. So again, hopefully we're looking more along the lines of we want more ins, but we obviously need outs as well. You know, could this possibly now pave the way for a Fred leaving to Fulham, and even like you say, maybe a McTominay leaving Manchester United, because they will be looking at bringing more money back in, because Manchester United, I think we all know, we can sit here and agree, we need a striker. Yes, we've just signed a midfielder, and that's great. I think Mason Mount, I think it's a great bit of business, regardless of whether he's got a year left on his contract. I think within a couple of seasons at Manchester United, Mason Mount will be worth more than that fee that Manchester United have paid for him.
Well, Reyes says, Pep fears Onana plus Mount will be a bargain in 2 years. I have to say, I want to come to you on this, Faz. I mean, me and Eric Ten Hag, we've got little links going on because, you know, if Onana signs and Mount, I'll be on cloud nine. I know a few people won't be, but I'll be absolutely loving that. But this is one of the questions I wanted to say, and we are going to, you know, wrap up this stream, but I wanted to say, if Man United's transfer window is, you know, Onana, Mason Mount, and, you know, a striker, whether that be Højlund or potentially somebody else, I know we need other positions. I know we need a 6, I know we need a centre-back, but them 3, is that a good window for you?
No, because still you have to think which players are leaving. I do not want certain players in the club, period. It's just full stop. Enough is enough. Martial needs to leave. You know, 3 keepers, 2 of them might leave. Harry Maguire needs to leave. Fred or McTominay, either or both need to leave. So no, a good window isn't just players coming in. People always feel like it's players coming in is a good window. It's not. That's just barely half the window, 3 players coming in. If 3 players in those positions are going out, then I'll be, yeah, okay. But I won't be surprised if Manchester United go and pay 20-30 million for Marcel Sabitzer and end up keeping him as well, just to add numbers, because, you know, now I'm thinking about, okay, Mason Mount's joined Manchester United. What does this mean for Sabitzer? What does that mean for Eriksen? And what does that mean for Bruno? He's a player who's got an abundance of energy. He's got good long distance shooting. He's good in set pieces. And this only means taking the pressure of Bruno Fernandes. So actually Bruno can do a bit of less running. Yeah, can breathe, less running and more output, you know, more creating chances. But again, this would mean you need a striker. So you've signed an advanced, people like to call it an advanced 8, but I just call him an 8. You've signed an 8. You've got a really good 10. And both of them can run and have energy. One doesn't need to, you know, look after the other like Bruno had to look after Eriksen, because Eriksen can't keep up with, you know, in a defensive situation. So now you have Mason Mount to cover that. But then both of these players will be putting the ball forward a lot more, and you need a striker to put the ball in the net.
Yeah, I mean, we have Ray.
That's one thing we don't have.
Yeah, we have Ray S saying, Rasmus next, please, and I'll be happy. And Joe Ainscoff says, this is a sign we are sold. I think we held off from signing anyone until we know the future of this club. I think this is a good sign. I'd love to have that enthusiasm, but I don't think it matters, to be honest with you. I really don't. I think we just had more talks with Chelsea and they came to an agreement. Spide says, bring that Chelsea negotiator to United, please. I mean, we need to get the best of the best. I still don't think... I mean, Chelsea paid how much for Enzo Fernandez? We don't need their negotiator. They've done well this summer so far, but we need to be getting, you know, the best in class. And I just want to say, to wrap up this stream, I agree that Sabitzer could potentially be an option. I don't think he's good enough, but he is still on the shirts at the moment. Weghorst isn't. The new shirts you can get Sabitzer on. Is that a sign? But guys, Kev and Faz, we got a here we go on our stream, and I'm really happy about it. And thank you everyone for getting in the comments as well. I mean, Mason Mount to Manchester United, 55 million plus 5 million in add-ons. Here we go. We got David Ornstein, we've got Fabrizio Romano concluding it, and it was never in doubt. I just want to kind of wrap this up with Romano saying, it's done, here we go. Personal terms agreed weeks ago, and face-to-face talks between clubs made it clear the agreement is done. Man United, Mount becomes a Man United player, and they never left the race. So that is it. Mount is going to be a Manchester United player. Get in the comments down below what you think about this. Obviously, you can tell I'm happy. Faz is only a little bit upset because he's not getting his free Nando's and he's absolutely gutted about it. But you know what? He'll be taking me out for a free Nando's after this. But thank you everyone for watching. Mark is going to go live now on the Mount News, so you'll be able to get Mark's opinion on this. I know he's a little bit dubious about whether that position was a priority, but I do think Mark is a fan of Mount. So it'll be interesting to see what he says. So make sure you tune into that stream when we end this one. But thank you for watching everyone. The first signing of the season is Mason Mount. And yeah, hit a like on the video if you're excited about this. We'll see you on the next one.